a lot of optimism. It's Jupiter ruled sign, right? But with
So you,
Venus there, it's also like this right here, just Venus and Moon by itself as a conjunction. It means that this is what I use in Judy Hall's words, the urge to. This is the urge to brood. Was it? Is it brood? What is brood? To nest. Sorry, to nest. So basically, to I don't know. I think maybe when past your past your like teen years, I think finding a relationship that was not only like adventurous but also meaningful and had purpose to it was very. I wouldn't say necessarily completely important, like really like, oh, I'll die if I don't get this, but it was definitely important, or at least you have that because Venus is relationships, right? Venus is sensuality, it's charm, it's what it's self-worth, it's value, it's what we think we put what on what things we place importance. Okay, so it's um, when conjunct with Moon, it works together towards ah now let's bond, let's really bond, right? But
okay, you're
but
saying this is in Sagittarius and it's trying to mean that in my later years I wanted to find a relationship.
or probably you probably still go through that. I'm not really sure because it is in the eighth house as well, and eighth house is a transformative house. It's a house of the occult. It's the house of Scorpio. It's the house of also money, not money itself. Sorry, shared resources, taxes, and of course death, but not necessarily always death. Not literally. It could also be figurative, like spiritual death, psychological. It's also a house of shared the things that are shared with you, the love you give through resources, the love, the support that you get through resources. So for you, it's important to have a relationship or bond with not just romantic ones, but also people in general that are deep and full of emotional connection and bonding, but also in a very idealistic. You're very idealistic about it. You have Neptune there, so it's like it's in conjunct with the three. The three is yeah, they're there. So idealism, you idealize relationships in this way, especially if the relationship is really not only deep and meaningful but like transformative, something that will give you like, wow, I feel like a different person. Wow, it's like, oh, it's I didn't expect that. Oh my god, this is exciting. Oh my goodness, like, probably also, did you have foreign boyfriends, like non-American boyfriends? Okay, okay. I like when I see nods. You're like, yeah, okay, yeah, that's good. Okay, good. Um, so that's that. However, remember there's an aspect. We don't want to forget the aspects. So we have here. I'm going to shrink that a little bit. Right here. Oops, sorry. Right there. So the three planets are square to your Saturn. Ah! Here we go. So square in Saturn in this case means that there has been limits that your soul definitely chose this. There are limits that you experience with romantic ones. So romantic ones definitely kind of feel like, okay, I experienced this, but if they leave or if I'm not getting what I want or if not, I'm not connecting with them, then all of a sudden, either you have to really work through it and really like have patience because that's what Saturn is teaching you. You need to have discipline. You need to have that. It's planet of karma, just like Pluto. Both are karmic planets. So uh, Saturn teaches us to the way karma works with Saturn is to um, really just trudge. Is that the right word? Trudge through what you know is already there. Like what do I call this? Even though, so I'm trying to read the whole thing. I'm trying to always combine things when I'm reading. So when it comes to your idealized relationships, sometimes what you idealize may not be what's already, maybe it's in front of you. You just probably don't realize it. You go, oh, because maybe you want someone who's probably also, I don't know, someone who's athletic. That's Sagittarius. someone who's like active, athletic, someone who's foreign. But sometimes maybe Saturn's saying no. Someone is probably right in front of you, and the universe is bringing someone to you, and probably like you don't realize that yet. Is that too harsh to say? I'm sorry.
No, okay, just say that I had it muted because my dog was barking.
Oh,
So you're saying that I the universe is bringing someone? Is that what you just said? You haven't
well,
had
you
it, but it
might never
happened?
know what the universe brings into you, like because you may. Sorry, I don't mean to go super personal, but are
No,
you
you're
already in a
fine.
relationship, or do you have a
You're
husband?
reading it. Go for
Okay,
it.
okay.
You're reading it, so you tell me what you see. That's fine.
No, that's what I see. What I see is that there's limitations to romantic relationships because what you idealize is like it's not going to completely like it's going to work for you yourself what you want, but sometimes you kind of have to balance things and say, what if this person is the right one? Because maybe sometimes you have to balance between being practical, being logical, with emotional and being inspired, right? You have like this fire thing going on here, right, in Sagittarius, but
Okay.
it's in square to Virgo. Virgo is practical. So maybe someone, maybe the universe might be bringing you someone who's uh, probably maybe super conscious about their health. They might be taking their relationship slower than what you expect it to be, or someone who's like neat freak. I don't know, something Virgo like, but definitely it could be anything as well. The point is that there's blocks that's probably still happening to this point in your life that is causing you to not like settle, right? So,
Yes.
mhm.
Am I ever going to settle or am I going to
Well, I don't know. That's up to you.
but I mean, is it saying, yeah, you're going to, because I know we have less than a minute. According to
Sure.
what we've read earlier in the chart, it's like, hey, you're here to be an individual and you've got something to do. And so I didn't know, am I going to have a purpose partner or am I doing this on my own?
well, and when I say you're not really on your own. You know that. So,
Yeah.
so what I'm saying here is that because you have these idealized um,
Yeah.
things that you want, you idealize your relationship. Sometimes those you kind of maybe have to tone it down. Saturn is saying, "Oh, wait a second, don't go too far. Maybe someone's right here in front of you and you don't see it yet."
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm all about building friendships first. So
Well, okay, that makes sense.
who
Yeah,
knows?
that makes you. Yeah, that gives you. Okay. Okay. All right. So let's try this. Okay. All right. Okay. So good. Um, and because we have because we have this stellium in Sagittarius, it's ruled definitely by Jupiter. Oops. Right. So Jupiter right here. So Jupiter is basically technically has it rules your eighth house. So transformative, um, any sort of transformative thing you have, like experiences you have, like anything, could be people, it could be just overall experiences. Any sort of transformation you go through, a deep inner core transformation, whether it's relationship or just your own self, relationship with yourself. Because remember, Venus isn't just about relationships with people; it's also a relationship with yourself. That's why it is. It's even as a planet that rules or feels at home, really, in Taurus. Taurus likes to feel like it has to work for something so that it feels worthy of not only recognition but this, because Taurus is in the second house, right? Taurus rules the second house, so it's about like earning power. It's this ability to, I got to get this because this is what I value. But sometimes value doesn't necessarily mean specific like material things, possessions, even skill sets, career, whatever. It's bigger than that. Especially because you have Neptune here. Neptune is say, let's go beyond that. Let's transcend. Neptune is a planet of transcendence. It's a part of our psyche that wants to go. This is why it's also idealism. Jupiter is also kind of idealism, but it's more like expansive idealism, just to kind of like, let's trust, let's have faith. Here, Neptune wants to connect with the higher self, the divine, go beyond these material, earthly, 3D things, right? So for you, that's very important. And but with it being ruled, the stellium right here, it's because of its what's referred to as like the dispositor or the because okay, so the planets right here are in Sagittarius. This thing I'm talking about is dispositor. Oops, what's happened there? Okay, because of this, its dispositor is Jupiter. So what that really means is just it's stuck there. Never mind. I'm gonna leave it there. This happens sometimes. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Okay, so because its dispositor is Jupiter, meaning that Jupiter has an effect on those three planets, or you're part of that psyche, right? Your emotions, the moon is your upheaval of your the ups and downs you experience with emotions. Venus is uh, where you like to feel good, where you find and Neptune is where you uh, where you kind of where we delude or like convince ourselves this is the truth, but sometimes it isn't, and where we have like idealism basically. That's Neptune, to put it plainly. Mind you, I'm not usually cheating. I sometimes cheat and I look at books, but I try to kind of just go with what I already know. So because Jupiter is right here and it basically rules your stellium in the eighth house, right here. What happens is that it's also tied to your destiny, your north node. So I would say your north node is similar to Aaron. Aaron Doughty's is Virgo. He has North Node in Virgo. So all you guys have North Node in Virgos. You're
Oh,
all
my
about
North Node is Virgo. Okay, I got what you're saying.
yeah.
Okay.
So this is about what you're going for, right? It's the head of it's called the dragon. It's that what is it called? It's part of the moon. It's part of the soul's journey. That's why it's called the dragon. Something to do. It represents its symbolism for journey. The South Node is the tail. The North Node is the head, but the head doesn't know where it's going. The tail is already used to what it's doing. It's like, oh, okay, I'm comfortable with this. For you, it's okay to be like, like Pisces stuff. It's okay. It's not natural for you to be like all, um, I guess you can say, sort of pacifist. Like, I
Go
don't
with
want to
the
be offensive.
flow as the water sign that I am.
Yeah,
Do I get
possibly.
the
Yeah, you're
flow?
used to that. Yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
there you go. So, um, and so what I'm saying is, it's actually tied to this. So your two planets, specifically the moon right here, and your Venus, is the one that's enshrined to your just Mars. That's weird. Why is it only trying to that? Oh, because 21 degrees, 26. Oh, okay. I get it. I get why. Because when you have aspects, depending on the aspect, if it's a major aspect like squares, oppositions, conjunctions, those are, they can have up to, I think, about 10 degrees orb,
Do
like
that again. Square, please. The
a
square,
square,
and then
opposition,
okay.
conjunction.
That was all. I like that. Thank you.
Sorry. I was like, oh, okay, okay, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, good. So, but those ones have bigger orbs. They allow for more, bigger orbs.
Okay.
Sounds funny, but a wider orb. Let's go with that.
There you go.
But with the minor aspects like trine right here, this is a trine between your Chiron and right here. That's a trine right here. These two are trines, and also sextiles right here. You have a sextile right here. The three planets are sextiles to Saturn. So actually, that one shows how you are able to use your ability to be disciplined when it comes to uh, finding how to express your individuality. You kind of like, I know who I am, and you stick with it, and you know how to use that. But that's usually a potential thing. Remember, I said earlier, I said potential, and I said quote unquote potential, because that's in general like aspects. But a sextile is an aspect in astrology that really pertains to, you could still use that energy and it's still natural, just like a trine aspect, except that sextiles are not that strong. Sextiles are, because sextiles are like, oh, it comes naturally. You know how to work with this. Like, for example, your Moon Venus conjunction right here is trine to your Mars. So you know how to get it. You know how to get it with
Bone
relationship.
Venus trine. Okay.
Yeah, you know how to get it with relationship. You know how to kind of, you know exactly how you want. You know how to sense. You know how to sense what's around you. Your instinct, your drive, instinct to find, your, I guess you can say, ideal mate. Even though Neptune is not trine to Mars, it still affects your Moon Virgo. So that means that it kind of like, I guess you can say, coats it. It's some sort of veil. Let's be analogous about this one. So, um, but with
What
Mars,
kind of veil is Neptune cloaking it in,
yeah.
though? Is it a good veil or is this a disappearing veil?
Oh, that duality, good or bad. But yeah, well, it could be. But Neptune is
Can I
also,
borrow it if I need it?
yeah, that's right. I'd like to borrow it. Let's put it on. So, yeah. So with it trying to your Mars, you just know how to get it. You know how to be assertive about what you need, your basic needs as well. Moon is basic needs as well. Probably what you eat, your habits, like your eating habits, your emotional needs, emotional health, that kind of stuff. That's the moon, and so you kind of sense right away. And because you have, I forgot the one little detail. Every
Okay.
time a planet is in a house, it's not just colored by its sign or the sign or the planet of that sign, but also the house sign. So,
This
more.
is why it gets all confusing. I'm like, what? The
Okay,
last.
but I know I try to slow it down, but I
No, you're doing great.
you're doing okay. Thanks. I
Yeah.
try to be like, because I have moon, I have my moon square Mars and square my own Mercury Uranus conjunction. So the moon pulls at the other three planets, and because mine is in Aquarius, I have this sort of electrifying sort of feel. I have very sensitive like senses. I'm very sensitive with my skin, my perception, loud noise. I can't. I am. This is what makes me like HSP, apparently, highly sensitive person.
Highly sensitive. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm like that. So that's why I wondered about you. Like, there's a sensitivity there that's like, okay, I see that. I was like, okay, so You probably can read people really, 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 really well. Right? So, there.
That's always fun in relationships,
It is.
especially when they think you don't, and you're like,
That's
okay.
right. And you kind of just like sit back and like, mhm.
Yeah.
And the Scorpio thing, you're just like, yeah, pierce the fucking veil. Oh, got you. I got you right away. I got all I
And
need. Sorry.
it's fun as a teacher though, using it. It's just with relationships, right? Because you're definitely empathic, right? But it also helps you when you read, just anybody. I'm making light teasing about it, but about it in relationships. But it is fun, like when you can pick up, like, when you have a little person who is struggling with something, but they can't really vocalize it. So they're good. There's good and bad,
Mm-hmm.
or good and interesting, tricky.
Yeah, sometimes you're reading it too much. You're like, did I get that right? Maybe, yeah, yeah.
Right, which is definitely in my latter years. I've learned more, like, I'm very much I don't want to read between the lines. So I'm going to be very straightforward with you because I'm as good of a mind reader as you are,
Mm, mm,
right?
there you go.
And so
Yeah.
if I don't want anything to get lost in confusion, don't play the game.
That's so your North Node right there. That's so what you're learning right now. Right there. You just said right there. That's your North Node. You need to be more like you're guarding things. You're not as like an open book. You're just kind of like you're protecting your energy as well. You're being more like, okay, here's the facts. Here's the thing. This is yeah. I think this is what I was trying to say earlier about the North Node, but I was like, yeah.
Something that I am learning and speaking and being that. Yeah, definitely. And it's very interesting because a lot of people I learned they definitely try to read, well, what do you really mean? Well, if I'm struggling to find the words, I'll tell you that I am, tell me what you're hearing, right? Because I don't believe in sugarcoating it, or kind of, I do my best to, be conscientious of how I speak, right? But to be very honest, because I want people to know where they can go to get real information.
Yeah. Because specifically, yeah, there you go. Especially, well, not only that, because you do have, because of your, not only because Mercury was in retrograde, it's like this sort of like there's a sort of feeling of awkwardness to it, but at the same time, you have this sort of electrifying, always changing kind of like eccentric energy of Uranus, and you have Scorpio, which is like Scorpio is like it's ruled by Pluto, right? And Pluto is slow moving. Exactly. And this is
And
what
yeah,
we like you and I when we people like you and me like with any whether it's retrograde or not, any sort of perceptive planet with perception like the moon through the senses, Mercury, maybe Mars, I'm not sure, but specifically moon and Mercury, people like ourselves who have this placement in Scorpio, we like to feel before we do anything at all. We just like to feel and see what is behind this? What is this? What is behind the fucking veil? What is going on there? We don't really want to insist on it, but there's that sort of power because uh, there's this. You see what I mean?
but I'm becoming better at listening to that. You have that feeling that comes up in my body, that somatic feeling, instead of disregarding it, or, oh my gosh, I'm not feeling so great. No, you know what? That's my wisdom coming up. And I'm learning that, we always, as a kid, my stomach hurts, my head hurts. Oh, you're fine, you're fine, you're fine. You know, no, no, that's me saying I'm not okay with whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make
Exactly.
sense?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
Okay.
right. Yeah, that's right. Because
So, I
you,
mean, I
yeah,
try, I try, and I'm sure, you can't please everybody all the time, right? And I definitely am learning. I don't have to be a people pleaser.
no. In fact, I think you learned that probably even earlier on, didn't you? Because unlike I first know if it, no, like because I think that for Libras like myself, we're more people pleasers more than Scorpios. I don't think Scorpios have ever been really people pleasers. Like I think they kind of wanted to you want
It's
to see
very
more.
much a lot of programming. It's very, I remember
Mm.
my dad telling my grandfather years ago, he's like, you know what, Dad, don't ever ask Brenda something unless you want to hear the honest answer.
That's
And
right.
I was 13 and we were sitting at a table having a family discussion. And and my dad's like, if you don't ask her opinion unless you don't want her to tell you the honest truth,
Yeah.
she's going to tell you.
Yeah.
And it was like, wow, huh? And then it was like,
Mm.
oh,
Yeah.
isn't that how we're supposed to be?
Hmm.
Right? Huh?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. You don't like pretense. I'm glad that I have Pluto's conjunct my sun actually, but because
Do
it's
I?
in
Is that good or no?
oh I think it's good because it's I people sometimes people see me as Scorpio, which I'm like, what?
And you're Libra?
Yeah, but because of the Pluto placement there, actually there's also one of the Liliths in there. So it's like, and I also have the actual, okay, confusing stuff, but there's three types of Liliths. But basically the Liliths are right there in between the Sun, Pluto, and my Mercury and Uranus. In fact, it's Mercury, Uranus, my placement. Lilith is like, one of the Liliths is actually in perfect conjunction with, I think, Uranus, or is it Mercury? Either one of them, because they're still like intellect, mind stuff.
Huh?
So I don't know. When I was a kid, I was definitely like more of a people pleaser, and now it's more like I kind of still am. That's also because my south node was in Aquarius, my north node is in Leo. Oops, sorry. So,
It's all right.
but
We're not
now it's
dating.
more okay. But now I'm more like no intuition. Go with that. Stop analyzing too much. Bring the gifts from the Aquarian past lives, and now focus on myself. Let myself shine. So this is like kind of like the residual thing that I like to help people with. But further than probably like this, this is why I put in like 5. I want to see what I can put in my channel 5, but I didn't say 50 or 15. I said 5. So I was like, I know my limits now. I know where I'm supposed to be. I know what I'm supposed to do. So, anyways, I get what you mean. Yeah. Um, what was I gonna say? Oh, okay. So sorry.
You're fine. You're fine.
Okay, so this is going to help you. This has been helping you because now I'm trying to get straight to the point, and this is part of your North Node stuff. So it is tied to your North Node, um, and so yeah, embrace that expansiveness, embrace that the challenges you come across with, uh, you know, your eccentricity, your optimism, right? Embrace that, but of course you more grounded, of course, and I think that's where your North Node is headed, or that's where your lessons are still, you know. See, I can't put it in words. It's like, you know what I
What do
mean.
you mean? I have to get my head out of the clouds and be more grounded? Is
Possibly,
that
yeah,
what
I
you're
would say
telling me?
so because it is in Virgo, but like not
Or,
necessarily means like,
oh,
yeah,
is it maybe get out of my head and start, putting my feet on the ground? Like get out of your head and start coming down
yeah,
and making this happen.
yeah, that's right, yeah, that's
Okay.
right. Because one of the things I noticed about Earth, anything with Earth, is that there's some sort of weird intuitiveness that they also have. Not just the Earth sign people, but like Earth itself. There's something about it. They're so connected. They want to be connected to the Earth, the ground, to material things. That sometimes there is spirituality in that in the 3D world, in this world. There's spirituality here too. There's something about it, and it's I don't know how to explain it. It's like, yeah. Usually it's the fire and the water that are more spiritual. They're more like out there. It's more intuition, more instinct. But no, air is still kind of intuitive, but it's more right here. But Earth, there's something about it, right? So, um, anyway, so where else? There's something else to your. Oh, your North Node because it's in Virgo. We look back into your Mercury. So this overthinking things or processing it is because again you were used to that stuff in the past. You were used to just trusting that things will just be, there probably was too much idealism, too much like I just let things go. But now it's like, no, it's okay to have more control. It's good to be more informed. It's good to be more studious too, probably in a certain way. Um, it's also good to. I'm going to cheat here a little bit. Virgo is discriminating. That's the word I'm looking for. Yes, fact
Okay.
finding, exacting, humane, right? Methodical, industrious, right? So finding the gifts within the things that probably like, so, I don't know. Once in a while, they're probably still like, why am I overthinking things? But sometimes that overthinking things maybe not be, maybe it's not even overthinking. Maybe it could just be overfeeling or oversensing.
So my north node is overthinking, over sensing,
Well,
or
no. Your
like,
North Node is showing me that because it's in Virgo, I have to look at the ruling planet of Virgo, which is
okay,
first and foremost, it's Mercury. So your
okay.
Mercury also ties into that. So that means that whatever you experience with perception, your thoughts, how you communicate, because it's in retrograde and in Scorpio, it it's. I think you've already been doing it anyways. You said that you've learned to just kind of control what needs to be controlled and kind of let go what needs to be let go, those kind of things, right? So kudos to you. You've been letting that go. The other thing though is that I personally feel that, um, well, because based on the books I've read, that Virgo is also ruled by Chiron. We go back to Chiron. So you
Mm.
have the water and the earth. So you have to kind of like your north node, your so-called your destiny, your journey forward is has a very earthiness to it. Definitely telling me it's like, oh, I need definitely to be more grounded, in which I think you have, like I said, you have been doing, right? Um, I'm gonna skip on to that. If you have any questions about that, we're gonna go move on to a few more things here. Pallas Athena. I like Pallas Athena because Pallas Athena is the planet, well, the asteroid really, but planet of. She was Athena. She was the goddess of wisdom, goddess of um, creative intellect, creative battles, so to speak, creative fighting, creative strategy, basically, right? So with Pallas Athena in 18 degrees in your 10th house, you get a lot of this. I guess. I guess that's probably why you're an FTP. You get a lot. You've had these downloads that your career path has to be a certain way, but how it's affected, what goes on there is that because it was an Aquarius, it's like science, intellect, ah it's uh, humanitarian things. Like, are you are you in humanity sort of in a, do you ever get um I guess the word is auspicious, like sort of like download, so to speak, because that's what Pallas Athena is. It's like it's a wisdom from we get. It's,
Um, I I feel like I have been, yes, and I ironically last week have I know someone who's a spiritualist and a channeler, and he had come into my life probably about 7 years ago, and recently saw him again in person, and he was just like, "Hey, how are things going?" And I will say this started about 4 weeks after FTP. And I
mm,
said, a lot of very interesting synchronicities has happened. And his face lit up. And I looked at him and I said, you did it. You opened it up, didn't you? And he responded, he said, Spirit told me to, yes, open it up. You weren't ready, but you are now. Get ready. Things are about to change. Huh?
fucking hell, that's what it is right there. Pallas Athena, Aquarius ruled by Uranus, right there. You might come across these still with these things, especially now with the age of Aquarius. You have all these downloads probably coming in, these changes that are like, the square is not a bad thing. The square is an awakening. square aspects wake us up. They keep us on our toes. And for many people, they might think, oh, it's a challenge. Oh no, I may not be as smart as I am. I may not get the downloads, but that's not true. The challenges are there to wake you up. And because you have Pallas Athena square up to 8, 9, 10, 11. Sorry, I'm counting. So it's
That's
mechanical and technical. Yeah, with Mercury, with Uranus right here. Not the Sun, but yeah. So basically, there's a square aspect between Pallas Athena and Mercury Uranus. So that explains that. It's one of those things. So, but you also had to learn from that. The more you listen to your Pallas Athena, your guidance, your download, the more you get these like beautiful, unexpected, meaningful Scorpio changes. That makes sense.
wow,
Mm,
thank you.
you're welcome. But also to help you heal even more, because you have 18 degrees square, beautiful square Chiron.
Can I tell you what I think is
Sure,
happening, and
go ahead.
you maybe can say yay or nay?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. I feel like I know, I'm putting it out there. You ready?
Go ahead.
I feel like I've been, going through life numb, kind of bumping around, things are happening. And all of a sudden, somebody flipped a switch and it's just kind of all of the dots are being connected. We've heard this lingo before. All of the dots are being connected and I can look back and yes, it's a runway. And it is just kind of crazy because I recently have had a conversation with an old friend that went all the way back to my childhood that talked about what my real driving force, what I really wanted in my life when I grew up. And I'm kind of coming full circle to this in a very different fashion,
Mm,
but the exact same way. And what it was about was that I wanted to help people who were down and out for whatever reason, just feeling like life is so friggin' hard.
mm,
And being able to teach them some of the things that I knew and that I've learned that have helped me start shifting my perspective and changing the way that I see life and the little hacks and tricks that I've learned that has said, "Oh my god, it's a game. I'm supposed to have fun doing this." All right. And I feel like you're just saying, "Hey Brenda, guess what? Ding 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 ding. Yeah, you got it.
yeah.
You get the memo."
Yeah.
And I feel like you're saying, yeah, and all of that crap you've been through, that's because you're supposed to help somebody else figure it out.
Mhm. That's what it is. So it definitely has a lot to do with the messages you get. That's what I just saw right here. It's like Palestine. I was like, oh my goodness. Oh, okay. You have this like little, I don't know what it's called, but there's certain shapes though in astrology that's used. But it's like, pointed out right here. So you have 10 degrees here, 2, and then right here. I don't know if the triangle will fit there. Okay. But the point is that this will be here. So I didn't get the perfect triangle, but the point is there's that thing. So you can see that the triangle is pointing upwards. It's elevating you. Your experiences with the perception of yourself and how you relate with others is helping you heal by accepting both that opposition right there that you see there. Well, that's not really an opposition, but basically, yeah, kind of. There is an opposition between Chiron and at very least your descent. Yeah, it's right there. Yeah. That's right. So your ascendant, descendant with Chiron, Vesta, and Pallas Athena. So that means the any sort of unresolved thing that you have in your subconscious about um, doubting your purpose and doubting what you're going to devote yourself to, what you're committed to, without pushing yourself too much. Because Taurus also wants to relax. As it tells, is to see what can I get from this. So getting more in touch definitely with your your higher self because that's your gift from the past, but then bringing it down to earth, that's your north node. So it all ties in together. It ties in together really like fucking well. It's not just a coincidence that I'm like you're here on FTP, I'm doing this for you, and then you're having this journey. It's not a coincidence. You chose this, you're part of your soul journey, it's part of all that. So,
Oh, wow. That's interesting. Okay.
yeah.
So definitely need to follow the process is what you're saying. And definitely the get grounded, get out of your head, get your feet on the ground, start taking action.
hmm hmm that's what, yeah. At least that's what North Node Virgo is. Yeah, going into action, just going for it. Yeah. And also trusting that whatever is ahead of you, you may not get a sense of it yet, but you have things around you. You have your ability to show people to be compassion. You can teach people to be compassionate. It's one of your gifts to share your belief and your faith in your higher self. Basically, just to put it plainly, it's there, and you already know it. It's like that sort of, it's beyond the chart itself. It's definitely like you know where you're headed, and yeah, I don't know how else to put it. Like, I think you get it. It's just, yeah. Did you have other questions? I didn't specify certain things yet because I kind of wanted to fit it in like in the time we had.
Oh, okay. I just lost it.
Okay.
I guess it's from looking at this, is there any way to tell, you know, yes, things are, if you continue on this path, things are going to go smoothly, or
Oh,
uh the hell is gonna go, like world is gonna go to hell in a handbasket, and yours is stopping here. No, I mean,
oh.
it looked like there's all of those life's big speed bumps are kind of like, are they past me? Is there a way to
Well,
tell?
there's always, like, as probably Victor would say, it's like there's
Free will.
always, yeah, there's always going to be those road bumps, but I think you've learned from those yourself, like what they're like. So, but you get that wisdom too, like from being able to embrace that change, right? Passathena in your Aquarius. So it's okay for you to deal with those things, and you're tenacious. That's Scorpio. Scorpio is like the tenacious. It's all about tenacity, more than Cancer.
More
Okay.
than cancer. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
Figure it
Yeah,
out. You can do it. You can figure it out.
yeah. Um, I do. I'm still new to what I tried before. I tried doing like predictive astrology, but that's the one we have to be careful with because it's like we can't be like,
Oh, I know what you're saying. Yeah, like people are like, shall I cross the street?
yeah,
Need to
yeah,
call? Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
No, no, no.
Yeah. It's also it's under horary astrology is similar to predictive. It's under predictive astrology because horary astrology talks about people asking like, will I do this? Will I? And I'm still learning it because it's I thought it would be like I look at a person's chart and then I look at their transit. I thought that's what horary astrology is, like day-to-day astrology or like specific times, but it's not. It's like literally I have to drop the chart for the specific time the person is asking about. So I thought it was
No,
like, what? So I'm
no, I was
confused.
just curious because like it
Sorry.
talks about the different houses and stuff. I thought I didn't know if that was like this is in reference to somehow also determinant of your life. Like, okay, so you've had
Oh.
your beginning stage of life, your middle stage, and I know that, isn't it something like every 56 years or every 59, then you go into another transit like zero
Ah.
18 or 0 to 10 and then 12 to 23. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Like, well, the returns, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 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 the returns. And also, like, there's the solar, I don't know what those are. So I still have to study. I have three more books that I have here that I don't really use that much. I use this one quite frequently. If you want
Yeah,
to, yeah,
I'm not real familiar with the only way to learn astrology. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
It's quite direct.
pretty
It's very
good.
straightforward. Yeah, yeah. So that's
I
what I
just
use.
there's so much to it, and you don't really, I never knew how deep it goes, just dabbled in it, but it has been so helpful. And I love to listen to people who do study it, because as an educator, um I'm not kidding, but it definitely is so incredibly helpful to hear what is going to come up, what to
Mhm.
anticipate in the week coming, because this is what we're seeing according to where the planets are. And
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's good to know, because then you can find out how people's actions, reactions, mentality, emotions, anything like that may show up, because it can prepare us for the classroom,
Mhm, mhm.
and
Ah,
it
yeah.
certainly has in so many ways. And it's kind of a joke now, because people will come and say, "All right, Brown, what's happening in the sky?" What's okay, well, I heard this today, and it's just kind of, it's been very, very enlightening. So thank you for doing what you do.
Yeah, no problem. My pleasure. What would be really fun is if we did tarot reading with astrology, but horary astrology.
You know what? If you want to do that, I don't know if you do tarot, but I do tarot too.
Ah,
That would
sweet.
be really, oh, and wouldn't it be really cool to do it if like we both did it and saw if it comes out the same?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, that would be awesome.
yeah, yeah. That's
That would
true.
be
Yeah, yeah,
so
that'll be fun.
interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's so like right there. Like you enjoy that right there. You're like you're experiment, experiment, genius.
Okay.
Yay!
Yeah. Like,
I
okay,
totally
let's
get it.
notch it up. One more level. We
Yeah,
can go
yeah,
here, but let's go
absolutely.
here.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm all for that. Okay, cool. Yeah, yeah. And you know what's funny too? I'm also a teacher.
What grade do you teach?
Well, actually, I didn't really end up teaching in like the actual like public schools. I couldn't find a job because my major was I had a major and a minor. Even though I had 2 degrees, either I was underqualified. I was both underqualified and overqualified.
Not anymore, my friend. Come on over to my district. Well, if you have a degree, we'll get you a job.
Seriously? Well, are you still in
I'm in
Phoenix?
Arizona.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I actually have two teachers that I work with that have their degrees and are going through an accelerated program, because they're on an emergency cert, going through an accelerated program because they're shifting their career to
Yeah.
go into education.
Okay. My so in when I was doing my education degree, it was we have like our school set up like three types of route. There's the elementary route, high school or secondary route, and then adult. I chose
Mm.
secondary,
Okay.
and my focus was on languages.
Okay.
So that's why I love languages. So I got into that. So yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. But I've taught in
And
private schools like music as well. So
and where are you that you can't find a job?
Edmonton, Alberta. Yeah, Canada.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I'm like, wait, because I'm seeing that, but I thought you said you were only an hour ahead of me, and I was like, can't
Oh
be in
yeah,
Canada.
yeah. Like time zone wise. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I was like, oh, okay.
Okay. So that was like okay. I
Okay, then
could.
leave Canada and come to
Yeah.
Arizona, because
Yeah. That's right. That's right. Yeah.
we've got you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. You never know. I mean, you never know. Like if I meet the right. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I've never met.
You're like, I'm gonna let me do my what is it? My moving my location chart.
Yeah,
I
I'll show you my chart. I'll send you a copy of my chart, and then you'll probably get a feel for like you can use that. You can use my chart as a way to kind of like see what you know already, kind of thing. Yeah,
okay.
and you'll see that I like I like serious relationships. I like transformative, but also weird ones. My moon is
Like
Aquarius.
me. You're
Yeah,
saying like mine.
similar.
Okay.
Yeah, very similar. Yeah,
And it is, yeah. I mean, definitely as far as relationships, and we're not just saying romantic relationships, right? We're talking any type of a relationship with
hmm
a person,
yeah.
right? I definitely crave that interpersonal relationship where it's just like, I don't want to do small talk. Like, you know what? What do I have to be afraid of? Nothing.
Mhm.
So, and then you kind of said, "Hey, guess what? Like it or not, friend, this is happening."
Yeah, I know. I know what that feels like too. Like, one thing I'm going to share with you because I know I can share it with the FTP because you guys will understand. It's
Yeah.
It's when the when the pandemic came, I I basically like isolated. I isolated like crazy. Like we're talking extreme. Like I mean, you don't need to see my chart to see what like I've done. Like I isolated like from my friends. Well, I was hardly see my friends anyways. We saw each other once a year,
Hmm.
so that didn't make a difference. I was usually just by myself kind of thing. I was used to being that sort of like go solo kind of thing. And many of the relationships I've had with people, and well, not with boyfriends, but like sort of. There was one that was like more or less getting to that point. Actually, I should have kept that one. He was
Those are the ones that afterwards that make us think,
I
oh,
know, because he's actually like this too. He would have been like this. He would have been like, I think, yeah. Anyways, point. Long story short is that meaningfulness was what I was looking for all the time. Genuineness, like it's so fucking plutonian, right? It's just like you just want that something like it's intensity, intensity, and um, but most people are not like that. Most people don't. It's not about just intensity, but also in this case now more like well, to be honest, awakened. More like they're oh okay, I'm not in part of the fucking like what do you call that the Matrix. I'm not part of the whole shit and all that stuff. Like you know.
again, the presence, the
Mhm,
presence, right?
yeah,
Showing up. And when you're with me, you're with me.
yeah.
You're not here. You're not thinking about what yesterday. You're not thinking about tomorrow.
Mm-hmm,
You're not
mm-hmm,
thinking about earlier today, but you're right here, right now.
mm-hmm, yeah.
Right? Is that kind of what you're meaning?
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
like
yeah. But that kind of stuff,
being
and
able to
also,
connect.
yeah, but also like, well, at least in the past when I wasn't like as awakened. Although I kind of knew that I kind of already was at a younger age. I was kind of, I was like the black sheep. I don't know why. I'm like, I don't understand. There's something more to this than this,
Right.
right? So, um, but the thing is, like, when it comes to those, when it comes to like those things that I experience, I feel like I don't know. I was like, this is probably why I was drawn to. I wasn't thinking about the FTV program. I was just like, oh, I saw Aaron's videos, and then I saw all these things, and last year I was in the program, same thing, same exact program. Not because there wasn't any. Was that one the one with what's his name again? Schaefer.
Rob. Oh, Matt
Yeah,
Schaefer.
yeah. Without not that. No, there wasn't any of that last year. There was just this with
Oh,
Victor, and then sometimes Aaron would come in, but basically with Victor. I was in
oh.
this program, and I just sat there and watched once in a while, but I didn't really do anything. But then there was
Hmm.
this there was this push to just like do things, and you know, because so after the when the pandemic kind of like started dying down, I started becoming more and more courageous. There was this push, and the push was that because I live, to be honest, this is where it feels vulnerable, but with you guys, it's okay. I can share this. When my so this is technically my parents' house,
Hmm.
but because I moved in back in 2010, and then when I moved back in, I wasn't like I didn't want to, but I was like, okay, I want to save money because like okay, it's hard to find a job that is both practical and satisfying. So, but I moved back in anyways, despite all that stuff. And I wanted to save money, but I didn't really happen. So I was kind of like I felt like I was kind of like bouncing from job, not really bouncing from job to jobs, more like I found the teaching jobs. I got called to do, and there was like I realized now that it's like oh I should go back into music for sure because music is the one thing that is it's definitely my North Node thing. Something creative. It's Leo, right? Okay, sorry, but anyways,
No.
yeah, yeah. I'm just joking. I'm just kind of joking too. I do that. It's so Eris, so Eris. I'm like I joke sometimes for the sake of not really joking. Probably it's
Right.
420 as well. But the point is that I had those experiences with before even the pandemic. And then when the pandemic hit, like the fear just like really set in. I was so fucking scared. So I isolated. But then when my parents told me, oh, we're hoping to sell the house. We're planning to do this fear of like, okay, what am I going to do kind of thing. Like I can't just find a roommate and go out there. I don't have, so I'm just like, so I got comfortable and it was just like, so now I had to make these changes. So, but one of the first changes was definitely like, there was this push because I had this like, when I was in isolation, I was still processing things. I was still meditating. I was still doing my cold showers or whatever you have, all those things. And then there was this push, a guidance. Because I think I prayed to our Archangel Michael before that. Just give me the courage, give me courage. Next thing you know, I'm just like out of the door talking to parents. And like I talked to my dad. I had a mask on for a second, so I was like so fucking scared. I didn't know. It was very confusing. And I just said, you know what? He said, I hear this feeling, so take it off, take it off, take it off. And because I definitely had to talk to him, but it was just like relax a bit, meaning take it off. That's the kind of message I got. And then from
Uh-huh.
that time on, I'm still kind of like I sometimes still wear a mask, but I kind of like doing it. I do it for like just in case. Um, but I don't like this past Monday. I was finally out. I was out, not finally. I was out with my parents again because I was like also helping them with stuff. And I just had my like I it was just right here, just the mask, and I was just like, okay, whatever. And then it was in the mall, and there was people walking past by. I was like, whatever. I kept getting this message, like I was just fear, but there was this push also to be like, you're okay, you're okay, you're okay. Don't worry, you're fine. So I just went with it. So that's the courage I'm giving. Like I'm giving an example. Like, oh yeah, there was like courage because you mentioned earlier that it was like, yeah, to find the courage to do that, to have faith, and just you know, yeah. So that's that. So
Thank you for sharing that because that is it was very scary. And I don't know how, where, why, but oh, I was out in the middle of it. I worked for somebody who was just like, oh, come hell or high water, you're showing up. And it was like, geez, everyone else around us is closed. This is a restaurant. And we were still going large. And then of course, as a teacher, we were still going large, even though that we were online. But the bit with the masks, I was like, I lived in China. If masks worked, it never would have gotten out of China. Let's be real, folks,
mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm,
So I was just like, and I feel like I have gone through so many experiences in my life that it was just like, if you're ready to take me, okay, I'm ready to come. And I kind of feel that that's where I am in this stage in life. And I
yeah,
guess maybe that's where it's like, you know what? Go ahead and embrace that fearlessness because you don't know how much time you have left.
yeah, exactly.
And whatever I have gone through in my life, um, there very well may be someone out there. It could be someone on the other side of the world who's been through similar experiences, or my doppelganger going through the same life way over there, and I might be a step ahead. I might be able to be brave enough to vlog my experiences and help people who want to learn, hey, what did you do? Right? How is it that you went from being so afraid to showing up as your authentic self?
Mm-hmm,
You're finally stepping in and saying, yeah, this was my bag of shit. And I don't have to carry it, and you don't have to carry yours either.
yeah,
And guess what? That is why we say, I feel so much lighter. My life is lighter, brighter, happier, because
absolutely.
it's so much more beautiful because I'm not carrying the shit around anymore.
Yeah, that's right.
And it sounds so easy when you're that person that's already done that work to say, hey, you let go of the shit. Well, when you're still holding on so tight to it because you've now got that muscle spasm because you've been holding on so tight because you've been told, been programmed, button up, buttercup, because nobody wants to hear it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
You know what? No, we have a different mentality. I've always felt like get it out because if I keep it inside, that's dis-ease. That's disease. That's
Mm-hmm,
dis-ease
mm-hmm,
in my
mm-hmm.
body.
Yeah, that's why the manifest stuff has been working. I'm pretty sure it's just like I don't know what it is. It's like that's the courage that Matt was talking about, and all of us we've been talking about it. It's like that when you push through, there's a boundary, there's a fucking limit. You know, just go past it. You don't have to push at it. Go around it and see. Okay, and words can't explain. Like I don't know about you, but did you feel trauma in a way? Did traumatic feelings come up at all? Did you ever?
When
Um, Before or even after during the pandemic, or even because for me it
uh,
has been like that. The trauma, it's the one that apparently I think I have like childhood PTSD. I think.
you that would be interesting to sit and reflect with. I know that for me, the trauma was more of what happens. I don't think so much the pandemic per se, but more now of how it's going to affect us as we're coming out of it, and then we're facing, the economic situation that we're in out of it. And then
Mm-hmm,
what's happening globally. We're talking about everything that's happening with the BRICS nations and what they're trying to accomplish.
mm-hmm,
And then of course with the wars and our presidency. We have that coming up right now, and we've got all of this chaos that's happening. I think that's where more of the fear is coming in, is like I both of my parents are deceased, and they were on disability towards the latter part of their life, and they also had someone stole their bank information and wiped out their account. So it's that idea of, okay, I'm solo in the world. I have my adult daughter, but I'm solo in the world. If something happens, I need to make sure that I know that I have a way not only just to protect or bail myself out, but I have this child, adult or not, that I want to be there for in her time of need, or if she needs help. So I think that's where my fear is more so, is because I've seen what's happened with them, and I'm really trying to process that and not repeat that.
mm-hmm.
Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
yeah, that makes sense. Well, sorry, I'm trying. I don't want to completely relate this back to astrology, but in a way, it kind of is because you have Saturn in your fifth house, which is also about the house of children. So, even though there's Saturn there, I think being patient. I think this is why you're a teacher. Is being patient with teaching, being patient as a teacher and with teaching, especially not only as a fifth house thing, but um, your North Node, like I said earlier, was in Virgo, right? And Virgo is also about teaching. So, sorry, I don't mean to like, you know,
So, like it or not, I'm supposed to be here to teach someone about something.
yeah, I think it's more to do with not your school teaching. You already did it for me. You know what you did? You said, like, trusting in that, and you use your experiences uh, to that thing, that Pisces South Node thing. You use that and kind of like convince me that, oh yeah, that's right. You said thank you. You had compassion right there. Compassion right there. You had these insights that because you spoke from specific like experiences in your life. I don't know. I think maybe something to do with like just I don't know what it is. I don't know how it's gonna happen. But is there any sort of like insight or like some sort of like I learned this like a while ago. Well, I more like I was reminded of it that when there's a push to do something, it's not going to feel stressful at all. It might feel a little scary, and I know you know this, but it's like there's a push. There's like, okay, it's like an inspiration. It's like it's inside inspiration. It's like I feel like I should do this. Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Are you saying, have I recently had a push?
Yeah,
Uh, Definitely the whole FTP and launching, right, our message, get your
that's
medicine out there. There's been that. But in trying to explain to other people that are close to me that understand and identify, with the consciousness, the spiritual aspects, pagan, however you want to look at it, um, I shared with my friend that story of when I was a little girl, of what I always wanted. And she was like, "Oh my God, you should be a nonprofit. That's what you need to do. And if you did this, helping, maybe let's say abused women's shelters, and you're helping, and that's exactly what you're talking about and helping." And then, so there's been, and then she said, talk to this person. I talked to this person. Well, of course, this person knew these people. And now I have these contacts in my mailbox. And it's like that really lights me up. But then it's that situation of, again, now I'm over here for someone else. It's like, do I do that, or do I stick here with the FTP doing what we're talking about and moving forward in that? Because I'm wondering, I'm not going to lie, it's like you've been in the classroom. At the end of the day, I'm exhausted coming home, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot to do week 3 homework. I didn't do the week 3 replay live yet. And holy crap, tomorrow's already Saturday. I did one video. I got to do another video still of it. All of this. I'm so exhausted because I'm also the athletic director. So I have to stay after games, you know, not that there were a lot of games at and middle school, but it's like all of these things that are like, okay, okay, here's your challenge. Excuse me.
Okay.
How badly do you want it? Work through it.
I'm going to look back into your chart and I'm going to reopen it. Hold on. Because I want to see something that I may not get the answer to just by talking. Let's take a look. Okay, this one. I opened up my chart.
Oh, okay. This is yours? Okay,
No, no,
never
no, no,
mind.
no. This is yours. This is
Okay.
yours. Oh, I can't see you.
Oh, sorry, dogs.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. No problem. Okay. Career. Oh, okay. Career is in Capricorn. It's your MC, your midheaven was in Capricorn
Career
for.
is in midheaven.
No, you're right. Yeah, the 10th house right here. Right? It was in Capricorn. And so that means that Saturn rules your 10th house. But you do have the wisdom there, right? You have Pallas Athena. But Saturn, because it rules your 10th house, well, technically it would be considered, generally speaking, in general astrology or general natal astrology, that there wouldn't be Pallas Athena here. But I did show you that because I like Pallas Athena. And it's still important. Just because it's an asteroid doesn't mean it's like nothing, right? But Saturn is right here, right? And Saturn is in your 5th house. So there's a link between your 5th house and children. So maybe, I don't know, I feel like there's something. 25 degrees Saturn, opposite of Pholus. Pholus is about making decisions that haven't been thought through. Something about, he was a centaur like Chiron. He was, he just makes rash decisions. That was just, so something to do with making big or rash decisions, but in this case, particularly with like things that have to do with your 11th house. So that is like uh, maybe money matters, or money things like paying for things that you think will get you somewhere, or money. Sorry, no, no, money that comes from your line of work, um, and basically what you earn. It's also because it's also the house of the love that you get in general, and these are like the house. This 11th house is also called like the house of non-emotional relationships. So because Pholus is about those kind of decision. I'm not really sure. Pholus is still new to me. So there's something about decision making and Saturn that kind of maybe have to process that you have to balance how you make decisions when it comes to, fifth house stuff, the love that you give, which is fifth house, and the love you receive, right? This is why this is the fifth house is the house of children. There's also recreation, fun, things that you enjoy, but also connect that because it's an opposition, right? Right here. It's opposition to Saturn right here.
Oh. I am, so if it's opposition of irrational, I'm
Possibly.
practical.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I
finding a
am.
balance with that. Yeah.
I'm sometimes way too practical.
Hmm. Yeah.
And is this kind of what it's saying is
Yeah,
like,
that's what I see here. So I'm just thinking because of career, because that kind of ties into your 10th house. Like you have Pallas Athena there and you get your wisdom from this area of your life, but it's further out into close to the 11th house cusp right here, the cusp right here, right? Right here. It's really close to that area. So it's actually in conjunct. So there's really nothing here in terms of like career because you're fine with your career basically. But the point is maybe more like not career itself, but like what that would mean for you. Like what you're is there anything else you're afraid of? Saturn is also fear, right? Saturn is when we don't know what's ahead, we're afraid of it. It's uncertainty. That's why we create certainties. We overcompensate. That's Saturn. Saturn overcompensates. Saturn is what we work on when we're not only unsure of something. Here, let me double. I want to make sure I get to give you the right information. So Saturn, yeah, assume responsibility. It's where we can best focus on assume responsibility, and where we feel least secure and tend to overcompensate or compensate. So, did you feel like you got into maybe this kind of teaching, not necessarily teaching itself, but this kind of teaching because you felt like you had to?
oh, I got into teaching because it was a practical thing to do. My first degree was in interdisciplinary arts, and everything I did was socio-political. And I I got out of college and suddenly had the epiphany that I need to help children. And I was an in-home therapist for autistic kids. I also manage a shelter and group homes for adolescent boys. And then that led me into the classroom because when I was the therapist, the parents asked me to go work in the classroom. And then I met this amazing lady. And when I was the manager of the group home, I did art therapy with the kids. So remember, I wanted to, when I was a kid, my dream was I was going to grow up. I was super fat, super shy. I was the butt of all of the jokes. I was a baby in the family. But I was going to grow up and I was going to become a movie star. So then that way I would get funds so that I could convert hotels into studios, and then I could help people that were down on their luck, rough times in life. They could come and live in these studios, go through a program that can help enliven them, help lift them up, help change their mental thought, their self-image, and then go out in the world and live the life that they wanted. Now, I was 9, 10 years old, and I had this drive that I wanted to do this. And I, I didn't have a voice. I was squeaky. I was, how the hell do I want to do this? Right. Grew up, went into theater. When I finished college, I had to do an installation piece. I did it in the major theme park or major park that we have downtown Phoenix. Had this huge 7 foot installation, did all of that. And my idealism kind of was a little bit shattered because it was more, I guess, of a romanticism idea, because part of my installation piece was interviewing the homeless, and that was part of the movement piece. And a lot of the people were like, this is great and all that you're doing all this to try to get awareness for people out here like us, but some of us just, you can't help those who don't want to help themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And then for a long time that kind of just put a damper on that. And then when I went to work with the children and met this amazing lady, I'm like, I know, I'll help people before they need help. So if we can get into the classroom and teach children and empower children, then they'll be able to go through life and not have to deal with all of the crap. And that's how I got into education. 25 years
Mm,
later, here I
okay.
am wanting to help more people.
That explains that. Okay. So earlier I said that your North Node was in Virgo, and Virgo's ruling planet is still Mercury today, but also Chiron, right? But with the placement of Mercury here, it's much stronger because Mercury is surrounded by the Sun and Uranus. So that also means that I forgot to mention Mercury rules relationships like siblings. So sibling sort of stuff like relationship, like how you connect, because it's all about transmission. That's Mercury. Mercury is transmission, but it's conjunct the Sun. The Sun rules children and the fifth house naturally, but Uranus rules humanity, humanitarian causes. I think you're in the right path, but more like how it's going to be. It's like, is it going to really light you up? As in that, is it fucking transformational, like epic to epic portions, like within you? Is it? So it's like, only you can sort of
You mean in where I am right now?
probably, I don't know, maybe, yeah, maybe, yeah. You think
Is
so?
that going to light me up as much as
What your
going
dream was
out
when,
of children?
yeah, because when you were a child, you had that dream. So that's the one that would light you up. Maybe now it's still okay, but are you okay with mediocre? Are you okay with okay? I don't think so, right?
There's yeah, what's happening in the school system? I mean, you could probably get on any TikTok reel that's about teachers and you can hear what's happening. But see, the thing is that there's schools are wanting to go towards something that's called conscious discipline, which I think can be a very powerful tool. However, I'm not convinced that all of what we're seeing is actually being it needs to be more of a instead of there being a situation like you and I are having a conflict and then we go and we have a discussion about it and there is no consequence. Life is filled with consequences, but we do need to have that consciousness conversation and we need to have that restorative opportunity. However, instead of just using it as a teachable moment, it needs to be brought into the curriculum as this is understanding the conscious and the subconscious mind and how it affects us as individuals.
I know what you mean. But personally, I don't know about you, but like for me, I'm glad that I didn't get into the school system because curriculums create some sort of standard, they create some sort of this and all stuff. But there's one thing I've learned from being a language teacher, and that I don't want to teach language anymore. I show through stories, just as natural as children acquire language, because language is a tool, right? It's about the communication. But what's beyond that? What is acquisition? It's called language acquisition. I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but it's just like it's not about the tool. I've taken it beyond that. But of course, my journey is not to teach people about this. My journey is toward me shining. My North Node in Leo means like, oh yeah, I love languages. For me, I don't want to teach languages anymore. So
But think about the fact that you have the language expertise and simply body language,
hmm, okay, yeah,
right? I mean, how we show up and consciousness just through that, and how we represent ourselves through how we carry ourselves. That's body language. How
mm-hmm,
are you talking to me with your eyes, with your facial expressions? And
mm-hmm,
even if we aren't being aware of that, right? What's going on out here? that I'm seeing is a reflection of what I've got going on here. And that
Right.
very well might mean I'm so in my mind and I'm not in my body in the moment right now
Yeah.
that my face is all screwed up thinking about my thoughts. And this person across the room thinks I'm giving them a weird look. See what that's powerful stuff.
Yeah.
But we don't understand that. And when you're children and you don't have the vocabulary or the experiences to put that together, things are escalating. And that's why there's a lot of problems in the classroom and communication on the playgrounds, on the bus, people walking down the street, but that's everywhere, children and adults.
Well, I think I was trying to say that, okay, so one of the things I learned about when it comes to language acquisition is because it's as natural as nature, it's just really just natural. The way I even do it is I don't teach the language, I teach them how to be intuitive, I teach them patience, I teach them this and all that stuff. But of course, because that's not really what I need to follow, it's more about for myself. It's still something, I still learn something from that, which is it's all from, as Eckhart puts it, it's you're mixing the horizontal with the vertical. You are bringing what's here. So in a way, it ties into, even though I'm not really for curriculums and like in Canada we have like what's called like the lesson, what do you call that? Something of
Standard.
study, something of study. It's POS. Something. Anyways, it's like it's part of the curriculum, and it's set in this little binder, and it's like this is this is your for this subject, and this is the rules for this subject, and you have to have your learning objectives, and then your goals, and it's like literally like all methodical. And when I did that, I was just like, this is a headache. It's unnatural, and yeah. So, but the point I'm making is that if there's anything I've learned, is just it's always more fruitful when it's from source. And so tying this into what we're talking about, how um, probably there's something that, because you said earlier that you're not sure if you want to do something with FTP specifically, like with posting stuff. What if you could, like, is there a way for you to, like, maybe make it so that what you do is actually literally, like, not just lighting you up, but making you feel like, oh my goodness, because you never know. Like you said, you met someone who gave you this other, who was this other guy that you met?
Oh, well, my thought is like, I was stuck. I didn't know how do I start, right? What do I do?
Ah, okay, okay.
So it was like, well, why don't I consider vlogging, right? And I'll just talk about how it is that I came upon where I am right now.
Yeah,
And interestingly enough, like what I was saying is one of the modalities that kind of got me where I am now is through numerology. And this person is on a strange thing about things happening. I reacted on something through numerology and through a guided message that I received. I was on the freeway going towards the opposite side of town, and I heard, you need to go to this store right now. And I'm like, it's closed, it's not, you need to get off the freeway. You need to turn and go right now. Like I'll go after my plan. Go now. That's never happened before. And I'm like, okay, I got it. Okay,
I
I
got
hear
it.
it. I'm going right now, right? And it was totally bizarre. And I went, and there was this man it was kind of creepy because I went to a spiritualist store and they had different rooms. Well, every time I went into the room, this man was staring at me. It was like he was following me around. I'm like, okay, this is kind of weird, right? So do my thing and I look around. I'm like, okay, he's not here. I'm gonna go up to the cash register because if I'm at the cash register, no, I can't escape. He'll be right there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Not around, I can go. And long story short, I'm at the cash register, lady in front of me, et cetera, et cetera. Something happened, brought us together. And then as I'm waiting my turn, all of a sudden I hear weird things happen to you all the time, don't they? Point in case. Him standing right next to me, and he just looks and he kind of laughs and he goes, That's fair. That's valid. And so
Uh-huh.
we started having a conversation, and he was watching me because he's like, you have 7 open portals at your house and you have 5 entities that are attached to you. Can I help you? And the lady that I was helping at the cash register just happened to have been his wife. How ironic is that? And when I did my collection, I went outside and they both were there. And they're like, we know this is a little weird, but we actually are spiritualists. We live up in Utah and we're here on vacation. You got some stuff going on. Can I tell you about it? And so we started chatting. And it was a friendship. We exchanged, conversation, etc., and have kept in touch over the years. He finally came back to Arizona 6 years later, and he's helped my daughter over these past years. And we went to dinner last week, and this is when he said that he opened it all up. Oh, okay. That explains a lot.
Okay. That's okay. That's never happened to me, but like other things, like coincidences. Yeah. Hmm. Wondering what if you. Okay, so blogging, you said, right? Hmm. What about
Well,
podcasts?
I say the vlogging
Oh,
because
vlogging. Okay.
in saying about like how am I going to build the channel, right, for
Mm,
FTP. And it was like talking about what brought me and what opened it up for me to be interested. Remember, I was a very practical person, very practical, didn't, none of this, it was all straight and narrow, had feelings, had some weird stuff that I was hearing, but as we're growing up, oh, you're okay, just go on. Yeah, you're a little weird, go on, it's okay, is into oils and rocks. So I'm into oils and rocks. I don't know. What are these? My daughter, you're a witch, mom. Get away. Get away. I'm a witch. Why I'm a witch. Lo and behold, to find out that people really thought that I was a witch. Perfume. Oils are perfume and rocks are made of the earth. Huh? And so all of these things. Okay, I'm starting to learn. Open. I think I'm digressing.
it's fine. You could post about witchcraft.
If I knew more about it, right? And do I really want to post about witchcraft, or is that something that I want to be? I wouldn't say that it was more about witchcraft. It was more about um believing in the energetics of things
Okay.
and understanding that everything is energy. And that's kind of how I came upon it because magic, people say a spell, right? What do you do when you say a prayer? What do you do when you do a chant?
Yeah.
You're doing the same thing. You're feeding energy into something. And the way that I see it is that magic isn't something that people are like, oh, magic, dark magic. You know what? What you're doing is you are setting your intention with something that is divine,
Yeah.
right? I am blessing my food.